called for with respect to a demolition of property at 5660 Westminster. Councillor Kajavsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me? My audio is okay?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Whereas the Demolition Committee of the City of Côte Saint-Luc, being the Côte Saint-Luc City Council, has carefully considered the application for a certificate of authorization for the demolition of 5650 Westminster. Said application filed by Techosol Inc. for 9257-2445 Quebec Inc. Whereas the Demolition Committee has reviewed all submissions related to the said application. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc's Demolition Committee defer its decision to grant the present certificate of authorization pursuant to the terms of Bylaw 2345.
Moved by Councillor Kajavsky, seconded by Councillor Torgman. All in favor? Or any discussion? Okay, all in favor, everyone's in favor. So we're just deferring that because we're missing a little bit of information and we will be doing it shortly. But now I'd like to welcome everybody to the regular council meeting of Monday, October the 5th, 2020. I have with, yes? Oh, I have to adjourn?
Yes.
All in favor of adjournment? Moved by Councillor Kajavsky, seconded by Councillor Torgman. We are adjourned. Okay. Now we move to our regular meeting of Monday, October the 5th. And I have with me today Councillor Stephen Erdely, Councillor Mike Cohen, Councillor David Torgman, Councillor Dita Burku, Councillor Mitch Kajavsky, Councillor Oren Sabag, Councillor Sidney Benizri. I'm Mitchell Brownstein, your mayor. I'd like to welcome you all here to this meeting and first give you a have a moment of silence before I give you an update on the situation with COVID-19. We have lost people in our community over the past week. We have 62 cases this past week, which is the highest since April. So before I give any more information on COVID, we'll take a moment of silence. So, as you know, the situation in the province of Quebec is not great. Efforts are being made to improve the situation, and that is why we are in an area which is under code red. In our particular city, we've had 62 cases this past week. We've had nothing close to that since April when we were in our first wave. I would say over the last, it would take 3 months to have that amount of cases that we had now in the last week. So we know that the transmission is going quick and it's rising. The week prior, there were 34, or this past weekend, there were 34 cases, and the week prior, also around 30 cases. So you could see that in the weekend, we had 34 cases, and the week prior, 30 cases, and if we look at this entire week, 64 cases. We're just moving up faster and faster, similar to what's happening in the province, but unfortunately it's happening in our city too. Now, unlike the first wave, where the vast majority of serious cases were in the long-term care facilities, that's not the case this time, which is good news for our most vulnerable population, but it's not great news for the common person living in a condo or an apartment or in your home. So if you're in that group that's the most vulnerable, meaning you have underlying medical conditions or are over the age of 70, the rules that were in effect and recommended to you during the first wave apply now, that you should do your utmost not to be in contact with individuals that might have the virus, which means not to go into places where you know there are other people and you won't necessarily be able to physically distance. They might not be wearing their masks. you might be touching something that's infected, such as stores and other places. We are going to do our best, as we have in the past, to assist you. If you are a senior, you can always call upon us. I'll be giving a call out. We'll be posting on our website all the ways in which we as a city can help you. La situation à Côte Saint-Luc est comme le reste du Québec, pire maintenant. Ici dans notre ville, on a beaucoup de cas. On a eu 62 cas la semaine passée et ça c'est incroyable si on regarde les nombres. On n'a pas eu une semaine comme ça depuis avril. Et il augmente vite. Et la raison pour laquelle, c'est parce que tout le monde continue d'avoir des réunions, pas maintenant, mais avant le code rouge. Et c'est urgent pour nous de faire le nécessaire. So we're going to do our best, and we can do it all together, and it's going to be okay. How does this affect our municipal services? It affects our municipal services, as we heard today from the Premier's office, that all sports activities, all group activities are canceled. So that means whether it's indoors or whether it's in a park, you're not allowed to have Zumba or fitness classes or swimming lessons or swim team or any other activity that would have people gather. That is coming into effect as of Thursday. So we're not closing our arena or our swimming pools, but they'll only be able to be used for individual activity, meaning there will be lap swim, there will be family time where up to 12 people from 2 different bubbles, separate and apart, will be able to go for a swim. There will be times to go for free skate, but during this next period, which ends on October the 28th, unless it's extended, we don't know how the strategies that are being put into a place will succeed. This is the situation. We rely on Santé Publique to make these decisions. They're not Côte Saint-Luc decisions, although what decisions that I've made now are based on the province's rules. In the same way that you're not allowed to have a visitor to your home unless you live alone. We're not allowed to have programs where people gather, whether in fitness activities. So these are all Santé Publique rules from the province, not municipal rules. But we're going to follow them together and get through this. So that is the situation. I would like to, before I move further, make note of the passing of our former mayor's father, Anthony Housefather. David Housefather passed away yesterday at the age of 88. And he was, I want to send condolences not only to our former mayor, Anthony Housefather, who was our member of parliament, but also to his mother, Myrna, and to the entire family. I knew David very well. He was a kind, quiet, caring individual who had a very special, witty sense of humor, and you never knew what type of one-liner he'd come up with that would make you think and crack you up. He was a good, caring person, and he cared very much for his community and for his family. So my deepest condolences to Anthony, Myrna, and your entire family. Okay. So now we will move on to the agenda. The first item on the agenda is question period. Maître Prévost, the first question, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight we have 2 questions. So the first question is from Tanya Alfonsi. Please provide an update regarding the proposed solution for addressing the issue of residential properties being used for non-residential purposes. What is the proposed solution? When will the proposal be made public for public consultation? Will you hold a special meeting to debate the proposal during the consultation period? In addition, I would like to comment that since COVID-19 red zones rules came into force on October 1st, several illegal shows continue to gather. Can you please remind the public that the restrictions apply to all and illegal shows are not exempted?
Thank you, Ms. Alfonsi. First of all, yes, we will definitely remind everyone, including all religious institutions, no matter how they are presently zoned. The council has met on the issue. Recommendations were put forward by our urban planning and legal department, and council took decisions. Now it is tasking the urban planning department to work with the legal department to put those decisions into play, meaning creating the necessary bylaw or bylaws that we will apply to the issue. So we are moving forward. I don't have the exact timeline, but both urban planning and legal know that this is a priority of this council in order to ensure that individuals who purchase a home know that they are purchasing a home in a residential area and that will stay residential, and at the same time providing a place in our community for religious institutions, whether it be in strip malls or on land zoned appropriately, or where they presently exist, should the residents in the area feel that those institutions should be zoned appropriately and stay where they are. But the process has been approved in principle by council, and now it's up to staff to draft the necessary bylaw, which, as I said all along, will be subject to more than consultation. It's subject to registry and referendum, the whole process. So yes, we're moving forward. Next question.
Mr. Mayor, just, if I may.
Yes.
One of the question went to a timeline, and I think we owe the residents at least an approximate timeline that the city can respect. We've known about this issue for 30 odd years. So I think out of respect for the residents, we should at least propose a timeline for the solution.
So as you are in charge of the file of engineering, I will undertake for you, Councillor Torgman, to prepare that timeline, work with the director, Senecal, and present it to the public.
Engineering is my portfolio, but this is an urban planning, but it'll be a pleasure to work on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so next question.
Yes, the next question is from Sid Gardner. My question is in regard to the new apartment building on Parkhaven, corner of Trinity. Why, when it was agreed upon pre-construction that the garage entrance would be on Parkhaven, and that now the completed building has the garage and parking lot entrance and exit on Trinity? Numerous residents come speeding down Trinity to enter their parking lot or garage. 3 little sticks were put up to deter this practice. However, they are quite easily navigated around. I guess it's much easier for them to enter from Trinity than to try to maneuver around the unsightly and dirty garbage dumpsters that seem to have found a permanent home on both sides of the street. Why can these dumpsters be placed in their garage and only be brought out on pickup days, and why on the street and not on their property? Why can't the residents enter the parking from Parkhaven as originally promised when we had the vote to change the zoning of the property? It seems to me that the additional taxes that this building generates is more important to the city than the quality of life of its residents. Obviously, Trinity has changed over the years, and we now have many families with young children living and playing on the street. Perhaps speed bumps could be installed in order to deter these people from using Trinity as a shortcut to their parking by avoiding the light on Parkhaven and Kildare, as well as numerous motorists no longer consider Trinity as a one-way street and thus adding to the danger for local residents.
Okay, so a couple of issues. First of all, with respect to where the garage was placed, it was felt during this process that it was safer for cars to be coming in and off of Trinity than Parkhaven. Maybe early on there might have been a proposal made by the developer that suggested that it would be going on to Parkhaven, but the city was never in favor of that. The city wanted it to be preferred that it should be on Trinity. The issue of the garbage bins, if they're being placed in the wrong location, then we should be checking that out and ticketing. So I'm going to task urban planning to look into the possibility of ticketing for any illegal placement of bins. The information I have from urban planning is that we have not yet issued an occupancy permit for the new apartment building. So that means that we're not collecting the waste. The building has hired an outside contractor. But I am asking that we do ticket for any illegal placement of the bins, regardless of whether they have the occupancy permit or not. This goes to the fact that Public Works is picking up the garbage. It's not a matter of who's picking up the garbage, it's the placement of where the bins are. So I don't want to see that this continues if it's an illegal activity. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. And I'll task Public Security, Urban Planning to work together on the issue to make sure that placement of the bins, whether they are picked up by us or not, are done on the appropriate days and in the appropriate place. Okay, so any other questions? Maître Prévost.
No, that was it for tonight.
Thank you. All right. So then we'll go to any business arising. Any approval of the minutes, I should say. Approval of the minutes, Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Torchman. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. And we move to business arising. Any business arising from the minutes? Okay, so then we go to the departmental reports. Councillor Burku.
I hereby propose the adoption of the departmental reports.
Seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, Councillor Erdely.
I have to admit, I don't have anything specific to the reports, but I just wanted to mention a few points, and this is usually an opportunity to do that are a bit miscellaneous. First, just a general reminder, as the mayor mentioned earlier, that all residents really should be following the rules set out by the city, set out by the province in terms of wearing of masks. I go around and I often see people wearing their masks under their nose or under their chin. And if the mask is not worn properly, it's basically like not wearing it at all. So I urge all residents to please do that. The cases, as the mayor mentioned, the numbers, the cases we are seeing today are not because of actions that happened in the last few days. They're because of actions that happened a week or two ago. And I fear that if people don't follow the rules now, we'll see another rise in the numbers in the next week or 2 weeks from now. I also want to remind all residents to please download the app. I believe it went live today. I actually downloaded it a few days ago, but the app that the federal government had set up is now active in the province of Quebec. So again, if you haven't yet downloaded it, please do so because it's important to help with contact tracing. I can tell you from what I've seen from public health, they are having a tough job, especially with the increased numbers, to try to do the contact tracing. So an app like this will really help. I also, on a somber note, I want to take a moment to mention, the mayor mentioned the passing of David Housefather. I also want to mention the passing of a resident of Côte Saint-Luc, a resident of District 4, Stacy Bank, who passed away last week on Thursday evening, a longtime resident of Côte Saint-Luc, someone who was close to me, close to many of my friends, and his memory will not be forgotten. Thank you.
I wasn't sure if I wanted to mention, but yeah, that was one of the individuals that have passed because of the pandemic. And he was, my mom used to go to McDonald's before the pandemic every morning. They had this group that would go there, and Stacy was there, and he always had something fun to say. And he was a great guy. His wife, condolences to Aline. She's always been a friend as well. And we have to realize that we need to take care of those that we love and hope for the best. But this virus is not passing over any of us. So let's do the best we can. And we send our condolences to the Bank family. And we'll miss Stacy, particularly my mom sends her condolences to you, Aline, and family for your loss. Right. So any other comments? Okay, moved and seconded. The departmental reports, all in favor? Carried.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I put my hand up just a couple of seconds too late. Can I have?
You can still speak even though we moved the reports. Go ahead, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I kind of think that we need to revise this section because they're not necessary. I think we have the committee reports, but really I think we should make it very clear in the agenda that it should be councillor reports, portfolio reports, if you will. You know, this tradition of departmental reports goes back decades, but you know, since Mayor Housefather took office, we've had portfolios, and that's generally how we do it. We report from our portfolios, and I think the public appreciates that. I just wanted to mention a couple of things, mostly on portfolios. First of all, just in keeping with the condolences to our own Darrell Levine on the passing of his father Joel, a constituent of mine. Also, I mean, sadly, we lose people in the community. Harris Mitchell, another constituent, also living sadly in the Marquise. Two very fine gentlemen who passed away in the last 2 weeks. So our condolences go out to their families and certainly to Darrell. Wanted to mention that we made the right decision in not scheduling a by-election. The by-elections that were canceled from April. Sadly, they not only canceled, but canceled completely. And those two people who put their candidacies forward would have had to start over from scratch. And had they done that, the by-election would have possibly been yesterday. That's when the date was, and the government canceled them on Friday. So any by-elections in the red zone were canceled until further notice. And so it just goes to show you right now that you know, scheduling the elections is not a very easy science to predict. And David Torgman and I will continue to represent District 8. I would suspect until the next general election. October 22nd, the CATS committee will have a virtual concert. So you go to CôteSaintLuc.org and the Côte Saint-Luc Facebook page and the Côte Saint-Luc TNR page. And live, we will have our variety show, if you will, a replacement for the concert and a big raffle. That's going to be our fundraiser this year. Despite the fact we have COVID-19, it has not stopped the fact that we have many cats we've had to rescue. The interesting thing is, the moment we get a cat, certainly a kitten, they're gone in 5 seconds. Everybody wants a cat during the pandemic. It's taken this maybe for people to realize that they are the absolute perfect pets. Everyone wants a kitten, but they're also very happy to have an older cat. And I've gotten many calls in the last week asking to adopt, and we don't have any cats. I'd also like to congratulate Oren Sabag on a new member of his family, a beautiful baby German Shepherd. So Councillor Sabag will certainly be more active again in the dog owners committee. Thank you for that. And one last thing, the residents. Oh, look at that, Councillor Kajavsky. Is that your cat? Beautiful, beautiful. My cat does not.
This is Lady. She was a rescue, and she's trying to hurt me now, so I'm going to let her go.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Look, this is what Zoom can do. We can. My cat will make an appearance at a future meeting.
I thought you enjoyed that, Councillor Cohen. Thank you.
I did.
Your volume, your sound is completely off, Councillor Kajavsky.
Yeah, it made my day. And sorry, just to complete, I had a Zoom meeting with my constituents of Marc Chagall last week. And we had a representative from the Equinox. The Equinox that's been in our midst for over 3 years now is nearing completion. By Christmas, it will be 100% complete. By December 1st, residents will start moving into Tower 2. They will turn the field is now being used as a parking lot, into green space. So we're all quite relieved, and I guess actually I should add one more good piece of news, and that is the Avenue, the apartment building on the Avenue that's been there for a couple of years. New owners took over last year. These are the owners of the Cavendish Club, and it is finally the big pile of dirt and mud that was kept like that for a couple of years has been completely cleaned up. Beautiful grass put on. The walkway that goes from Park Place through to the Avenue has been paved. So all of the things that we promised the residents would be done have been done by the new owners, and the area is looking very, very neat. So very happy for that. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Any other portfolio reports? You're always welcome anytime. And with respect to the by-election that has been most probably postponed, any by-election that doesn't take place before 1 year before a regular election can't happen. So assuming that they don't allow by-elections before November, the first week of November, it looks like that district won't have a representative until next year. So as mayor, I am also, we never knew it was going to go this long, but as mayor, I get a lot of calls for Councillor Kovac's district. And of course, it's always my pleasure to deal with them. So I will also be available and continue to be available to take care of any problems in Councillor Kovac's District 8. I guess it's going to be for the entire year. So let's move on to the next issue, which is financial services. Councillor Erdely, 5A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of September 1st, 2020 to September 29th, 2020 for a total amount of $16,485,286.23 in Canadian funds, and the Treasurer Certificate number 20-0094 dated September 29th, 2020 has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion?
So to share, normally the disbursements are in the vicinity of about $3 million. This one is much larger. And the biggest item is the agglomeration Côte Par, which is approximately $14 million. There's also some expenses for the pool. So the pool work that was done, I guess not this past year, but the year before, and some payments for bonds that have come through. So those are the larger items. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And then we move to 5B. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just flip to the page. So I'll read. I'll read this one. Be it resolved that the loan bylaws mentioned in the first paragraph of the preamble be financed by bonds in accordance with the following conditions. The bonds, one bond per maturity, will be dated October 20th, 2020. Interest will be payable semi-annually on April 20th and October 30th of each year. The bonds will not be redeemable in advance. However, they may be redeemed with the consent of the holders in accordance with the Act regarding municipal debts loans. The bonds will be registered in the name of the Canadian Depository for Securities Limited, CDS, and filed with it. CDS shall act on behalf of its members as a registrar for the book-based system, bond-holding officer, and paying officer in charge of the transactions for the members as described in the agreement protocol duly signed by the Minister of Municipal Affairs of Quebec and CDS. CDS will proceed with the transfer of funds according to the legal requirements of the bonds, and for that purpose, the Côte Saint-Luc City Council authorizes the City Treasurer to sign the documents required by the Canadian banking system entitled Autorisation pour le plan de débit préautorisé destiné aux entreprises. CDS will make payments of the principal and interest to members through electronic funds transfers, and for this purpose, CDS will directly withdraw the required amounts from the following bank account: Royal Bank of Canada, Cavendish, and Kildare branch, and that the bond shall be signed by the mayor and the city treasurer. The city of Côte Saint-Luc, as entitled by bylaw, has mandated CDS to act as its fiscal authenticator agent, and the bonds will only become valid once they have been authenticated. That with regard to the annual depreciation of capital plan for the years 2026 and following, the future terms of the following loan bylaws numbered 2505, 2525, 2527, 2544, 2445, and 2523 is shorter than the terms originally signed, namely for a term of 5 years as of October 20th, 2020, instead of the prescribed terms for such amortization, each subsequent issue being for the balance or part of the balance due on the loan.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. Seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion?
So So if I may, Mr. Mayor, to explain a little bit. So what this is the city is getting financing for approximately $6 million of projects that have been done. So this includes the City Hall building envelope, which as you can see is still an ongoing project. The purchase of trees, the rehabilitation, part of the expense of the rehabilitation of the Samuel Moskowitz Arena, installation of traffic lights and LED street lights, purchase and installation of a garage dome at the Public Works Yard, some heavy vehicle and equipment, and replacement of the roof at the Samuel Moskowitz Arena, which is also ongoing. So I guess a few things to mention. The way it works is generally the city will get a loan only after the work is done or mostly done. In the past, what had happened was the city would take out a loan for the work, but without knowing the exact cost or the exact price. So what we try to do as we have cash, if we have enough cash, is to try to do the work and then borrow the money once we know the final prices or virtually the final prices for the different projects. So what we're doing now is taking out a loan for $6 million to finance these expenses. What will happen in the next few days is the city has approached different banks to get the best interest rate. So we'll be finding out that information very shortly. We hope to get a low rate. And the low rate, just to clarify, will be for a 5-year term, even though some of these are amortized, some are amortized over 5 years, up to 20 years. And the analogy is that I give often is it's like when you get a mortgage, even if you have a mortgage for 25 years, you generally have your interest rate locked for 5 years. And that's what the city will be doing very shortly. And again, hopefully we'll get a good rate and we'll be able to share the exact rate. I'll be able to share the exact rate at the next public meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried. And we move on to human resources. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the hiring of Hugues Esteve Jean-Baptiste as an office software development technician, auxiliary white collar position effective September 14, 2020, and that treasurer certificate number 20-0092 dated September 18, 2020 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by, who wants to second it? Councillor Sabag. Any discussion?
So just to share briefly, this is for a person who's going to help in the IT department. What the city is currently in the process of doing is migrating from a G Suite or Google-based email to an Office 365 or Outlook-based email system. So this person is going to help with the migration. The city's done a full analysis and found that it's much cheaper for the city to work with Office as opposed to Google. And this person will help in that, in streamlining this process.
Okay, Councillor Erdely, thank you. So that has been moved and seconded. All in favor? Councillor Benizri? Councillor Benizri. All in favor. We're just waiting for Councillor Benizri's vote. Is he frozen maybe? Maybe he's frozen. Technology, I think he's frozen. Okay, so I believe we have a technological problem. Everybody's voting in favor and Councillor Benizri may be frozen. Ah, he's moving. He's in favor as well. Okay, thank you. And now we move on to the next item, which is legal. 7A, Councillor Burku.
Sorry. Okay, thank you. You can hear me? Okay.
Yep, I do. I do.
So this is with regard to a premium for an extra month for liability insurance. So whereas for logistical reasons, city's insurance contract for civil general liability, umbrella liability, and municipal liability, the policies which were supposed to expire in December 2019 were extended to February 16th, 2020, and therefore, and renewed till February 16th, 2021. There was an additional 45 days of insurance coverage that now has to be paid. Be it resolved that the council hereby ratifies the modification of the expiry of the terms of its civil general liability, umbrella liability, municipal liability insurance policies from January 1st, 2019 to February 16th, 2020, and subsequently from February 16th, 2020 to February 16th, 2021, that the corresponding prorated premiums of the additional 45 days owed in the amount of $15,520.44, including applicable taxes, be and is hereby approved, and that the treasurer's certificate has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Berkouw, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion?
Yeah, so I just explained that we had to pay an extra 45 days because they, the renewal dates were extended.
Okay,
Liability insurance.
so moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. We move to B, item 7B.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just a very, very small technical point. The treasurer's certificate, upon discussion with the finance department, will be formally received in 2021. So the minutes will just reflect same when the coverage period is owed.
Okay, I understand. So then it should say that the treasurer's certificate will be issued.
Correct. Yes, that's
All
the
right.
friendly amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that was, we voted on it though? We voted on it. It passed. Okay. So now we're going to 7B. Councillor Berkouw, 7B.
7B, let me see where we are. Okay. Oh, this is with regard to the letter of credit. Okay, it's for the building on Park Haven on the avenue. So the City of Côte Saint-Luc hereby ratifies the granting of the extension of an irrevocable letter of credit for 3 months until December 25th, 2020, under the same terms and conditions in order to secure the completion of the construction of the mixed-use building located within zone HM6, the whole as per said letter annexed here with as Annex B. And this specifically refers to the building on the avenue, the mixed-use building on the avenue.
Okay, so that's moved by Councillor Berkouw, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any additional discussion?
Okay, so just to explain that there was a letter of credit that was received in the amount of $3.5 million to secure the completion of various phases of the Cavendish Mall, and that pursuant to various phases of completion, we were finally left with a letter of credit, which is in the amount of some $387,000. And we are extending that letter of credit for a sufficient period of time until the end of December in order to allow for the final phases of construction to be terminated so that everything, the grounds can be cleaned and all the construction around it can be finished by the end of this year. And that letter of credit guarantees that that work will be done.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to 7C. Jonathan.
Correct.
Councillor Jonathan.
I just want to hereby table a clerical correction tonight to allow for the mayor's message, which was distributed and read, to be formally annexed to the minutes. So I'm just announcing that clerical correction, and I'm tabling it.
Thank you, Maitre Schechter. Thank you. Okay, now we move to item number 8, Parks and Recreation. Councillor Kajavsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just audio check. I'm sound okay? Can anyone hear me?
Perfect. Beautiful.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, be it resolved that bylaw 2558, entitled bylaw 2558, creating the fee schedule for parks and recreation programs for the fall of 2020 and winter 2021, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Kajavsky, seconded by Councillor Ben-Isri, any discussion?
This is, I think it's self-explanatory, and let's hope we get to use this fee schedule. If everyone complies with public health guidelines, we'll get back on our feet in no time.
Right, so these are the fee schedules for a lot of our activities that are, many of which are on hold right now, waiting for us to get out of code red. If some activities such as master's program or swim team miss a certain period, of course, you'll be credited for the period you're not swimming and so forth. But we do have a fee schedule, so that's good. We're going to get there. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to Public Works. 9A, Councillor Ben-Isri.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Et résolu que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc, par la présente octroie un contrat à 3 diamants auto 1987 limité pour l'achat de 4 camions conformément aux conditions de l'appel d'offres.
Je pense...
C-18-20 pour la somme de 227 163 $ et 61 sous, plus les taxes et que la banquerie. Est-ce que ça a joué à un moment donné?
Ce n'était pas très clair. Et je sais que Councillor Cohen peut faire le... Peut-être vous pouvez le lire. I think Mike, somebody else is going to have to read it because Sydney's, Councillor Ben-Isri's microphone, his Wi-Fi is not working that well. So Councillor Torjman would like to read it, which is great.
Okay.
Oui, je pense que ça va être mieux si le conseiller Torjman le lire parce qu'il y a des problèmes dans votre système. Je pense que c'est le Wi-Fi. OK, on va le lire une deuxième fois. Mais vous avez le faire, on va le faire ensemble. Ça va être appuyé, oui, proposé par les deux conseillers. OK.
I'm sorry, getting to the appropriate page. Que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc, par les présentes, octroie un contrat à 3 diamants auto 1987 limité pour achat de 4 camions conformément aux conditions de l'appel d'offres C-18-20 pour la somme de 227 763 $ et 71 sous, plus les taxes applicables, que la dépense décrite sera financée par le règlement d'emprunt numéro 2546 approuvé par le ministre des Affaires municipales et de l'Habitation, que le certificat du trésorier numéro 20-0095 a été émis le 30 septembre 2020 par le trésorier de la ville, attestant la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites. OK.
Proposé par le conseiller Ben-Isri, mais lu par le conseiller Torjman et appuyé par le conseiller Cohen? All right. Okay, so it was moved by Councillor Ben-Isri, read by Councillor Torjman, and seconded by Councillor Cohen. I don't know if that's completely legal, Mint Projector, but if it is, do it that way. Otherwise, whatever, because we do have some technical problems. Otherwise, it will be moved by Councillor Torjman, whatever is legal.
We could have Councillor Ben-Isri propose it, and then seconded by Councillor Cohen. And we're just going to put a note in the minutes that Councillor Torjman read the draft resolution or the resolution out loud.
Okay, fine. Okay, so item moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, so this is for 4 pickup trucks. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Councillor Sabag. Is Councillor Sabag froze? He's in favor. See, the technology, we saw your hand go up, but it was like delayed. Okay, so everyone's in favor. It's carried unanimously. That's great. So now we're going to go to item 9B. Councillor Ben-Isri will move it, and Councillor, fine, okay. And Councillor Torjman can read it so it's clear. He has better Wi-Fi. Go ahead, Councillor Torjman.
Sorry, just unmuting. Getting to the page. Que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc déclare par la présente la non-conformité documentaire de la soumission reçue par Agricom Inc. et par conséquent, cette soumission est rejetée. Que le Conseil, par la présente, octroie un contrat pour l'achat de 2 tracteurs et 3 pour trottoirs au seul soumissionnaire conforme, Centre agricole GLD Inc., conformément aux conditions de l'appel d'offres C-23-20 pour la somme de 290 612 $ plus taxes applicables.
Proposé pour le...
Oh,
Oh non, OK.
que la dépense décrite sera financée par le règlement d'emprunt numéro 2547 approuvé par le ministre des Affaires municipales et de l'Habitation, que le certificat du trésorier numéro 20-0096 a été émis le 30 septembre 2020 par le trésorier de la ville, attestant la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites.
Proposé par le conseiller Ben-Isri et lu par le conseiller Torjman. Appuyé par le conseiller Cohen. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? Okay. So moved and seconded. Councillor Erdely.
I just wanted to mention that these new sidewalk tractors that we're purchasing with snowplows are slightly narrower than some of the Bombardiers or some of the larger ones. I believe they're about 48 inches instead of the standard 54 inches. So what that means is it'll be more versatile. I know in District 4, we often have issues where cars are parked on the side of the road and it's tight for the Bombardier or sidewalk cleaner. So with these narrower vehicles, it'll be easier for them to be able to plow the sidewalks, keep them safe for our residents.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. Hopefully, yeah, less damages, we hope, to the grass as well. Okay, so that was moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to item number 9C. Councillor Ben-Isri would move it, and Councillor Torchman can read. 9C.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just getting
Sure.
in French because I understand that was just sent to me.
Yeah.
Opening it up.
Let's see how Councillor Ben-Isri sounds. Try it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, it's clearer now.
It's better. Okay, I'm gonna try now. Sorry, I just have to go. Okay, here I am. Ok, alors merci Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que conformément à l'appel d'offres regroupé numéro 20-18-120 de la ville de Montréal, le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc, conseil, octroie par la présente un contrat à Compass Mineral Canada Corp pour l'achat de sel de voirie régulier pour la saison hivernale 2020-2021 au prix de 69,36 $ par tonne métrique, incluant livraison pour une quantité approximative de 4500 tonnes métriques pour un montant total maximal de 312 et 120 $ plus les taxes applicables, ainsi que jusqu'à 20% de plus au même prix unitaire. Que le Conseil octroie aussi un contrat à Cargill Limité pour l'achat de sel de voirie traité pour la saison hivernale 2020-2021 au prix de 90,90 $ par tonne métrique, incluant livraison pour une quantité approximative de 2000 tonnes métriques, pour un montant total maximal de 181 960 $, plus les taxes applicables, ainsi que jusqu'à 20% de plus au même prix unitaire. Que le certificat du trésorier numéro TC-20-0097, daté du 1er octobre 2020, a été émis par le trésorier de la ville, attestant la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir le volume de sel de voirie approximatif requis pour la portion 2020 de la saison hivernale 2020-2021. Qu'aussitôt que possible, au début de l'année 2021, la directrice des travaux publics se procurera un certificat du trésorier attestant la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses anticipées pour la portion 2021 de la saison hivernale 2020-2021.
Proposé par le conseiller Ben-Isri, appuyé par le conseiller Cohen. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions?
C'est pour confirmer l'achat, les provisions de sel pour la saison hivernale 2020-2021.
Okay. Le conseiller Erdely.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. If I can add, the nice thing this year is the price of salt seems to have gone down to where it should be. For those that may recall, it was about 2 years ago, the price skyrocketed. It was in the vicinity of 70, let's say $70 or so per metric ton. It went up to about $100 per metric ton. There was a strike at one of the largest salt mines in Ontario, which caused a worldwide shortage, and more particular, a severe shortage in North America for road salt. Things seem to have stabilized. The price is back where it should be. In fact, I was comparing to 2 years ago, so we were paying about $77 this year for regular salt, which was what we use most of the time. We're paying about $69, so it's even slightly lower than it was 2 years ago. So hopefully it'll generate some savings for the city on the financial side as well. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And we move to the next item, which is urban development, 10A, Councillor Torgman. Engineering division.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That the City of Côte Saint-Luc hereby awards a contract for the thermographic study of the exterior wall of the ACC building to Groupe Conseil Lacasse Trudeau for a total number of $32,500 plus applicable taxes. The Treasurer Certificate number 20-0093 dated September 28, 2020 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Okay, moved by Councillor Torgman, seconded by Councillor, who would like to second it? Councillor Kajavsky. Any discussion?
This is just for an engineering study of an issue that's unfortunately at the ACC building.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And we move on to urban development, urban planning division, 11A, Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby accepts the offer to purchase agreement with the purchaser in regards to the property, and this for the amount of $53.88 per square foot for a total amount of $32,328 plus applicable taxes. That council hereby ratifies the city's general counsel signature of the offer to purchase agreement with the purchaser, and that the city's general counsel be authorized to sign on the city's behalf a notarial deed of sale incorporating the terms of aforementioned offer to purchase agreement.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Cohen. Any discussion? Councillor Erdely?
So to share, this is for the purchase of a city lane that is between homes on Wolseley and on Smart. In certain sections of Côte Saint-Luc, in particular in some parts of District 4 and District 5 and District 3 as well, there are some old city laneways that are between homes in their backyards. Residents are able to purchase this land. In this case, it was between the homes on Wolseley and the homes on Smart. The city reached out, and I myself actually checked even with one of the neighbors who I knew had some concerns about this laneway. So the city checks with the other neighbors, offers them the opportunity to purchase half of it. So if they, in other words, to split it into different pieces. In this case, the neighbors were asked, only one of the neighbors wished to purchase it. And as per our bylaws and as per the regulations, the resident is buying it at the set rate, which was mentioned, of approximately $32,000 plus applicable taxes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. We now to 11B, Councillor Burku.
Oh, I think this one was me as well, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, sure.
If
My
I may.
pleasure. Go for it, Councillor Erdely.
And then Councillor Burku will do the rest of them after, or
Sure.
the next ones. So this is related to a tabagie at the 5555 Westminster Shopping Center. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council authorizes the city clerk or the assistant city clerk to sign the form entitled Certificat de conformité à la réglementation municipale d'urbanisme for Tabagie Belvedere.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by, who wishes to second it? Councillor Berku. Any discussion?
So just to share, so as residents will know, Police Station 9 and Police Station 11 are merging. I know many of us had mixed feelings about it, including myself. The only positive is that the merger is now in, the merged station is in Côte Saint-Luc, which is much better than had that station been in NDG, in Côte-Neige NDG. So it is at the location at Westminster and Côte Saint-Luc Road. So what that involved was enlarging the space that is used by the police. I have to admit, I had the opportunity to visit it earlier on. I haven't seen it since the renovations. And obviously with COVID-19, it's much more complicated. So what they've done is enlarge their space slightly. What that involved was relocating the tabagie from one spot in the shopping center to a slightly shifted over spot. But because of that, in order to maintain their license with the regie, with the provincial government, we have to pass this regulation or pass this motion to allow them to move and still maintain all their rights. So that's why we're moving this today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So it's been moved by Councillor Erdely and seconded by Councillor Berku. Any discussion? More than that, I'm calling for the vote. All in favor? Councillor Sabag? All in favor? Okay, I guess it's all in favor. So Councillor Sabag was in favor. Your Wi-Fi also is a bit delayed, Councillor Sabag, but I believe you were in favor, so that's fine. And then we move on to the item 11.1, which is site planning and architectural integration program. Councillor Berku.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So at this point, I'm going to read about 8 or 9 resolutions. I'm asking Councillor Erdely to share his screen so that the council and the public can see the renderings and the perspectives that we are approving. So the first one is item, I'm going to exit, item 11.1. Que le plan d'implantation et d'intégration architecturale montrant l'ajout d'un abri auto pour une maison jumelée unifamiliale existante sur le lot 129-05-25 au 633 West Look est préparé par le propriétaire pour la réunion du comité consultatif d'urbanisme du 15 septembre 2020, soit approuvé conformément aux dispositions du chapitre 14 du règlement 2217 de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc. So, be it resolved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Berku, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any
So
discussion on that?
So
go
you
ahead.
saw on the screen, I don't know why'd you take the picture away. You saw on the screen the property where the extension is going to be. It's just going to be a carport next to the home on the driveway.
Okay, so moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously. We move to item number B, 5501 to 5579 Westminster. Councillor Berku.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So now we are looking at Westminster. So be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing the addition of a proposed new sign for Ground Up Physio on lot 156-1126 at 5501-5579 Westminster and prepared by the tenant for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of September 15, 2020 be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc. So in the photograph, you can see the sign, which is on the property at the corner of Côte Saint-Luc and Westminster.
Moved by Councillor Berku, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Okay, so that's, I think it's been described. All in favor? Councillor Sabag's frozen. or he's thinking really hard, but you're in favor. Okay. That's fine. We're all in favor. And now we go to 5510 Westburn. Councillor Burku.
Yes, so, que le plan d'implantation, qu'il soit résolu, il est résolu, que le plan d'implantation et d'intégration architecturale montrant le remplacement du revêtement extérieur existante sur la façade avant d'une habitation unifamiliale isolée existante sur le lot 156 16 97 au 55 10 Westburn est préparé par Madame S. Fiala, designer, pour la réunion du comité consultatif du 15 septembre 2020 soit approuvé conformément aux dispositions du chapitre 14 du règlement 22-17 de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councillor Burku, seconded by Councillor Torgman. I believe it's your district.
Right, so this is a property, no, this is actually property in my district.
Oh, it is your district, okay.
Westburn. And so they're
Westburn.
just changing the front facade of the building as well as the garage door to match the materials, the new materials that they're putting on the facade of the building.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. We move on to 5885 Cavendish. Councillor Burku.
Right, okay, so this is for the Montefiore, I believe, yes. So be it resolved, the site planning and architectural integration program showing the replacement of the existing freestanding sign facing Cavendish by a new sign showing the name of the building, the Montefiore, the same dimensions on lot 156, 1126 at 5885 Cavendish and prepared by Enseigne ECF, contractor for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of September 15th, 2020 be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Okay, so that was moved by Councillor Burku, seconded by, it's in your district, Councillor Cohen. Any discussion? There's the sign, you can see it, all in favor?
Very clear.
Carried unanimously. We move to 5893 Brandeis. Councillor Burku.
So this is a little more elaborate. I suggest that you show the rendering on page 254, Councillor Erdely, that the site plan, be it resolved, the site planning and architectural integration program showing elevations for the replacement of the tile finish by a new fibro cement and aluminum siding finish on lot 1560849 at 5893 Brandeis and prepared by Fournier and Complice, designer for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of September 15th, 2020 be approved according to the provisions of, wait, I lost my text, of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc. And as you, in the rendering, I just want to explain a little bit. You can see what the joints also, so it's not just a flat facade, but there you also see that it's going to have some articulation, and they're changing the color of the tiles and going with a softer finish.
So that's moved by Councillor Burku, seconded by Councillor, it's your district, Brandeis. Well, it's, yeah, Councillor Cohen. Any discussion on that? Fear that's what you saw. All in favor? Carried. And then we move on to 6814 Haywood. Councillor Burku.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. So, que le plan d'implantation et d'intégration architecturale montrant le rajout d'une extension arrière proposée d'un étage. This is a solarium, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Four season solarium, d'un étage à une habitation unifamiliale isolée sur le lot 156 13 65 au 68 14 Haywood est préparé par dessin DB pour la réunion du comité consultatif d'urbanisme du 15 septembre 2020 soit approuvé à condition que la finition soit compatible avec la couleur de la brique existante conformément aux dispositions du chapitre 14 du règlement 22-17 de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc.
Proposé, OK. Proposé par le conseiller Burku et appuyé par le conseiller Benizri. Je pense, c'est votre district. Okay,
Right.
any discussion on it? What
Yeah,
else do you want to say?
so we put in that condition because we didn't have the final rendering, but we wanted to allow the resident to advance in his project. So there's the condition that the colors of the brick has to match, and he obviously has to submit that to the
Okay.
planning.
Okay, you can take that off the screen, Stephen, so that everybody can see Councillor Benizri pick up his hand, because I don't think they saw it. So he seconded it. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to 7912 Wavell. Councillor Burku.
Wait, merci. Trying to do this, moving right along. So be it resolved, the site planning architectural integration program showing the replacement of windows, aluminum siding, and landscaping on 105, on lot 1053827 at 7912 Wavell, prepared by Lennox Construction Contractor for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of September 15th, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Okay, so that's moved by Councillor Burku and seconded by Councillor Kajavsky.
Torchman, actually. It's right on the
Torchman.
border.
Right on the border, Councillor Torchman. Okay, and any discussion?
Yeah, so basically this is to replace the windows and aluminum siding, and we are strongly recommending also that they add some landscaping at the facade so that the building will have the same appeal that it had, you know, here you don't see the vegetation, but hopefully there will be some once the new facade is finished.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Okay, carried unanimously, and we move to the next item, stance on the Aglo, Councillor Kajavsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One sec, I'm just bringing it up. Be it resolved that council take the following stance in view of any agglomeration council meetings to be held in November 2020 as follows: to authorize the mayor or his duly authorized replacement to make any decisions he deems necessary and in the best interest of the city of Côte Saint-Luc and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the agglomeration council meetings to be held in November 2020 based on the information to be presented during those meetings.
Moved by Councillor Kajavsky, seconded by Councillor Sabag. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we move to other business. We have other business. Who is moving the resolution for other business? Councillor Sabag.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Que la ville déplore de ne pas avoir eu la chance de faire valoir sa position sur les différents enjeux abordés lors des travaux du CNT-PSU et que la ville interpelle le ministre de la Santé et des Services sociaux en lien avec les enjeux abordés lors des travaux du CNP-SU. Que la ville, par l'entremise de son directeur de la protection civile, demande qu'une rencontre soit organisée avec les membres de la CNT-SPU afin de pouvoir leur présenter les enjeux et la vision de la ville. Que la présente résolution soit transmise au ministère de la Santé et des Services sociaux.
Ok, c'est proposé par le conseiller Sebag et appuyé par le conseiller Burku. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? Could you explain it, please?
Yes, so this is a resolution concerning the fact that the city of Côte Saint-Luc, who's had a first responder unit here since 1964, was actually not invited to the table for...
It's frozen. He got frozen there. So Councillor Burku, do you want to continue?
Did I cut off? Did I cut off, guys, again? Sorry about that. Well, I don't know what's happening. Maybe it's because I'm living next to Councillor Benizri and we both have issues. So this was because essentially we weren't invited to the table for a national committee to discuss the transformation of the pre-hospital emergency system. And we felt that the city of Côte Saint-Luc should have had a seat at that table. So we put this resolution forward that will be sent to the minister.
Okay. All right. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we're going to go to a second question period. And I have to remind all people watching online that you have to refresh your Chrome browser to be able to add a question in the chat. And I don't know if there's anything else, Maître Prévost, that we need to inform the public in order to ensure that they can add their questions.
No, just to please give your name and type out your question, and just a reminder that the question is for tonight's agenda.
Director Levine, is there anything that I need to add to ensure that people can add their questions to the chat?
No, I think Maître Prévost handled it, said everything.
Perfect. So do we have any questions? If we don't have any questions, what else did I want to say? Okay, so I don't think we have any questions, but I do want to end by reminding everybody to follow all the COVID-19 rules that you will be hearing from myself and your city council with respect to the ways in which we are here to support you throughout Code Red and beyond. Stay safe. Do what you got to do. Keep physically distanced, wear your mask, wash your hands. And if you are in that category of 70 years of age and older or with an underlying medical condition, you should really be careful, just as was recommended during the first wave. You know what to do, so we're counting on you to stay healthy, and we'll be there for you. Thank you, and good evening. I'd like to call for adjournment. Moved by
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Kajaski. All in favor? And all in favor? We are adjourned. So we'll